Let's talk about market analysis. First, let's talk about a market. In the market, there are two parties, consumers and producers. Consumers demand the goods or services, while producers are the ones who supply the goods or services. Today, we're going to focus on supply. And supply shows how the price of a product affects the quantity supplied for that product. Here's an example. In this example, we're going to look at Brian's supply schedule for apples. So when the price of an apple is $1, Brian's quantity supplied is 200 apples per week. When the price of an apple is $1.5, Brian's quantity supplied is 300 apples per week. And finally, when the price is $5 per apple, Brian's quantity supplied is 600 apples per week. We can see from Brian's supply schedule that the quantity supplied for apples depends on the price of apples. Mathematically, we say that the quantity supplied is a function of price. So, as the price of apples increases from $1 to $1.5 to $5 an apple, Brian's quantity supplied of apples increases from 200 to 300 to 600 apples per week. Now we're going to take a look at the law of supply. The law of supply states that as the price of a product increases, the quantity supplied for the product increases. Vice versa, ceteris paribus. Let's take a look at our supply curve. In our graph below, the supply curve is in red. Again, we have price on the vertical axis as always, and quantity on the horizontal axis. As the price increases from P1 to P2, the quantity supplied increases from Q1 to Q2. In other words, we move along the supply curve from point A to point B. Note that ceteris paribus means all else remains equal. Now let's take a look at some factors that change the supply and shift the supply curve. First, the prices of inputs or the factors of production. As the price of an input increases, the cost of production increases. At the same price of the product, supply of the product will decrease. For example, if the price of iron ore increases, supply of steel will decrease. Another factor that can change the supply and shift the supply curve is technology. A new, more efficient technology lowers the cost of production. The supply of the product will increase. And finally, a natural disaster can change the supply and shift the supply curve. A long persistent drought decreases the supply of agricultural products. Now let's take a look at some shifts in the supply curve. Remember, we have price on the vertical axis and quantity on the horizontal axis. Please note that S0 is the original supply curve. Let's look at a couple scenarios. If the supply of a product increases, the supply curve shifts to the right. In our example, we can see this in the blue shift in the supply curve, or from S0 to S1. On the other hand, if the supply of a product decreases, the supply curve shifts to the left. We can see this in our example as the red arrow, from S0 to S2. Now let's see how individual supply and market supply are related. In the left panel, we can see Bob's supply curve. In the center panel, we see Megan's supply curve. And on the right panel, we see the market supply curve. Now let's take a look. At the price of P1, Bob's quantity supplied is B. At that same price of P1, Megan's quantity supplied is C. So, at the price of P1, the market quantity supplied is the sum of Bob's quantity supplied and Megan's quantity supplied, or B plus C. Now if we take a look at price P2, Bob's quantity supplied is 0, while Megan's quantity supplied is A. So if we look at the market supply curve, we can see that the market's quantity supplied is just A. Since Bob's quantity supplied is 0, and Megan's quantity supplied is A, the sum of A and 0 is A. Therefore, the market's quantity supplied at the price of P2 is A. This is all to say that market supply is just the horizontal sum of individual supplies. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.